Hello, my name is Fenna. Welcome to the Self-Compassion channel. And what causes limerence? What spikes up limerence? When are you more vulnerable for a limerent episode? Well, I collected a top 8 and I'm going to explain you why. What triggers limerence? And again, I keep on saying this, limerence is not a mental illness, it's not a disease, it's an altered state due to circumstances like uncertainty and a whole lot of hormones. But what can actually spike a limerent episode? What can be at the root of limerence? I collected a few triggers and I would love to hear your input to see if these triggers also apply in your situation. Okay, here we go. Number 1, the good old attachment. Attachment problems. It doesn't necessarily have to be an attachment disorder, but attachment problems such as being anxiously attached, or you have an avoidant attachment style. Somewhere, somehow along the way, there was a period or a longer period or maybe a shorter period of unsafety in your childhood. And I mean unsafety in the bigger essence of the word. There can be a variety of things, but somehow there was probably a mismatch at one point in what you needed and what your surrounding or your peers or your caregiver could or wanted to give you. Number 2, trauma. Not all limerents can recall a specific trauma, but some of them do clearly see a link between the limerence and an earlier trauma, and therefore the need to soothe the nervous system with addiction/limerence. And besides this, trauma attracts trauma. That's really unfair, but that's what it is. The so-called trauma bond. On an energetic level, you subconsciously kind of know that this very attractive person has their issues. It's like the Taylor Swift song, I knew that you were trouble when I walked in. Or when you walked in. The frustrating thing is that we don't know this consciously. Not always in the beginning. And after a while, when we're attached and more invested, we kind of decide or choose to ignore the so-called well-known red flags. Number 3, the sexless marriage. Being married and not having a fulfilling sex life makes people more vulnerable for limerence. Number 4, being middle-aged. The age that we get these weird feelings, the fears of having missed out, the urges, the drives, the needs, the boredom, regrets, maybe that makes us more vulnerable for a limerent episode. Number 5, after an intense crisis, such as the direct loss of a loved one, we tend to be more open for limerence when we had a loss, let's say 2 years prior to the beginning of the limerence episode. And if this is you, if you recognize this, please leave a comment below, because I'm especially curious about this phenomenon, if grief can open you up for limerence. It does make sense in some sort of way. If there was a loss of a loved one in your direct surrounding within 2 years prior of the beginning of your limerent episode. Number 6, dealing with unpredictable, unavailable people. This spikes up the reward system in your brain and the addictive damage is done. And the chance that the other person has some sort of attachment wounds is pretty big, but I don't want to focus on the other person on my channel. This is not about them. It's actually none of our business. This is about us and how we can deal with this. Number 7 is loneliness and unfulfillment. I've heard quite some clients telling me that they had a lonely period before the Limerence episode began. Or they have some aspects in their life that they're not completely satisfied with. Either that's their social life, or maybe their work life, or the surrounding where they live. There is an overall unfulfillment or lack of purpose, and lack of purpose can play a big role in a Limerence, the starting of a Limerence episode. And number 8, and this one is so important, not having a plan makes us more vulnerable for Limerence. When we wander around the planet, having no clue, no direction what we want and whom we want. That includes what kind of relationship do I want? What kind of partner do I want? That makes us super vulnerable for seducing and flattery of the very attractive other. When we don't have a plan and we don't know what kind of person we're looking for. What are my deal breakers? Having a plan, having direction is super important. Where do I want to invest my time and my energy in? So these were 8 factors that makes us more vulnerable for Limerence. But please, if you know more, if you think that there's something else going on in your situation prior to the Limerence or at the root of the Limerence, please leave a comment below, because it's super useful information. And with this information we can also help other Limerence out there, because we can use a little help, to be honest. For now, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye!